What if the deepest understanding of resilience, of human purpose, wasn't forged in comfort? What if it could only be found in the very fires of hell?
That's a powerful place to start, a really defiant question, isn't it?
It is. And it sparks our deep dive today. We're venturing into a profound work, a book born from suffering that seems, well, almost unimaginable.
Yet, somehow, it offers this astonishing beacon of hope and a radical, really radical redefinition of what it means to truly be human.
Exactly. We're talking about Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah. And it's crucial to say this isn't just a survivor's memoir, though it has that raw, searing authenticity.
Right.
It's much more, it's a deep philosophical, psychological exploration, a look into the human spirit's inherent capacity to, transcend circumstance.
To find purpose even in, well, utter desolation.
Precisely. It challenges us, especially those of us already on this path, seeking to look beyond the immediate pain, to find that enduring why that keeps us going.
Absolutely. So, our mission today, really, is to distill these profound nuggets of wisdom from Frankl's harrowing journey, yes, but also from his groundbreaking theory, logotherapy.
We need to unpack how his personal crucible, those unspeakable experiences in the concentration camps, didn't just inform his ideas, they forged them.
Forged them into this timeless understanding of the will to meaning. And this isn't just about Frankl. This is about what it means for you, listening right now, to live a life of real significance.
Regardless of the external conditions you might face.
Exactly. And let's be clear, this isn't beginner talk. This conversation is for those already wrestling with the deep stuff, right? The alchemists of experience, the warriors of the mind who demand more potent truth in their own lives.
Agreed. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on this book. Man's Search for Meaning. Its reach is just astounding, isn't it?
It really is phenomenal. We're talking over 100 printings just in English, translated into more than 20 other languages.
Selling millions and millions. I think by 2006, it was over 12 million copies in English alone.
That's right. And it even got recognized, I believe, by a Library of Congress survey as one of the 10 most influential books in America.
That kind of staying power, that kind of impact, it's rare. What does that tell us?
Well, what's really fascinating, I think, is Frankl's own take on its success. He didn't see it as, a personal win, not an achievement for him.
Really? How did he see it then?
Quite the opposite, actually. He called it, and this is striking, an expression of the misery of our time.
Wow. That's a profound reframe.
Isn't it? He saw the book's popularity not as proof of his writing skill, but as a signal, a sign of this widespread, almost desperate yearning for meaning out there.
So it suggested people felt this inner void, this ache for purpose.
Exactly. And his book resonated because it spoke directly to that fundamental, unmet human need. That's how he saw it.
That's such a crucial distinction. It makes the book feel less like an academic text and more like a cultural diagnostic tool.
Precisely. And his intention in writing it, that adds another layer. He originally wanted to publish it anonymously.
Anonymously? Why?
His only drive, he said, was the message itself. That life holds a potential meaning under any conditions, even the most miserable ones.
He felt the camp experience gave it existential validation.
Yes. If he could show the truth held even there, in the absolute depths, then the message became undeniable, irrefutable.
So the autobiography wasn't about him, it was proof for the philosophy.
Exactly. It underscores the incredible integrity of his whole approach, his whole life, really. Dedication to the message above all else.
And what's amazing is that this conviction, this understanding of purpose, it wasn't something he just figured out after the camps, was it?
No, not at all. That's what's remarkable. It was foundational to who he was, even as a young man.
This is where it gets really compelling for me, that core motto he used from Nietzsche.
He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how.
Right. For Frankl, that wasn't just a cool quote. It was a lived principle, a belief he held long before Auschwitz.
Absolutely. He was fascinated by philosophy, psychology, even corresponded with Freud when he was just 16.
16 with Freud. That's incredible.
Yeah. And even then, as a teenager, he had this insight. He wrote something like, "It is we ourselves who must answer the questions that life asks of us."
And to these questions, we can respond only by being responsible for our existence.
Exactly. That wasn't just theory for him. It was how he saw everything.
And there's that story about the visa, right? That really shows it in action.
Oh, definitely. 1942, just before deportation. He gets an American immigration visa, a ticket out, safety, freedom.
And he lets it lapse. Why?
To stay with his aging parents in Vienna. He found meaning, profound meaning in honoring that commandment. Honor thy father and thy mother.
Even knowing what was likely coming?
Even then. It's this incredible act that just perfectly foreshadows his whole philosophy. Meaning found in duty, in responsibility, in love. It wasn't something cooked up later. It was baked into his character.
It's just, yeah, radical choosing of meaning over mere survival. So this deep ethical foundation, it leads us straight into logotherapy itself.
His unique approach to psychotherapy.
For those maybe less familiar, can you give us the quick version? He had that funny way of comparing it to psychoanalysis.
Right. He quipped something like, in psychoanalysis, the patient lies down and tells you disagreeable things. In logotherapy, the patient sits up and hears disagreeable things.
Huh. That's sharp. It implies this direct confrontation, doesn't it, with the big questions?
It does. This meaning-centered psychotherapy, as he called it, is deliberately less retrospective, less focused on digging up the past.
And less introspective, too.
Yeah. Instead, logotherapy is oriented towards the future, towards the meanings to be fulfilled by the patient in his future. It shifts the whole focus.
From trauma to purpose.
Exactly. So its core concept is the will to meaning. And he set this directly against Freud's pleasure principle, the idea that we're just driven by seeking pleasure and avoiding pain.
And Adler's will to power.
And Adler's will to power, the drive for dominance or control. Frankl said, sure, those drives exist, but they're secondary. There's a more primary human urge.
The need for significance,
Right.
for meaning.
The deep inherent need to find significance.
Yes. So beyond just wanting to feel good or be in charge, there's this fundamental need for a why. And you mentioned there's actual data backing this up.
Yeah, which is fascinating. He cited a French poll, I think, where something like 89% of people felt they needed something to live for.
89%.
And even more staggering, 61% say they'd die for it.
Wow.
And then there was that Johns Hopkins study of students. 78% prioritized finding a purpose and meaning over making a lot of money.
So these aren't just nice philosophical ideas, they're statistically real human motivations.
Absolutely. It shows Frankl was tapping into something deeply universal, a truth that resonates within pretty much everyone, whether we consciously think about it or not.
Okay, now we have to turn to the core, the crucible itself. His experiences in the Nazi concentration camps, this is where the theory meets the fire, isn't it?
It is, and he's very clear. His account isn't just a list of events, it's an inside story about a multitude of small torments.
Not just the big headline horrors.
No, more about how everyday life in a concentration camp was reflected in the mind of the average prisoner. The psychological grind, the constant mundane dehumanization, that was his focus.
And he was prisoner number 119,104?
Right. And for most of his time, he wasn't in some special position. He was a laborer, digging railway lines. So his perspective is genuinely, from the ground level, the ordinary prisoner.
That journey to Auschwitz, he describes it so vividly. 1,500 people crammed in, 80 per coach.
Then that whistle and the cry, there was a sign, Auschwitz, just chillin'.
And they arrive with this flicker of false hope, a delusion of reprieve.
Yeah, seeing the capos, the privileged prisoners, looking somewhat well-fed. But that illusion just shattered instantly the moment they stepped off the train.
Shattered by the finger game.
The horrific simplicity of it. An SS officer just points, left or right, life or death. 90% sent left, straight to the crematorium, the bath.
Frankl was sent, right.
Right.
Arbitrary survival.
Purely arbitrary. And then the stripping away. Everything, all possessions, every last trace of their old life, including his manuscript.
His life's work.
Gone, confiscated. He tried to save it, pleaded. The guard's reply, just shit.
Dehumanizing doesn't even begin to cover it.
Frankl called that the culminating point of the first phase, the moment you had to just strike out your whole former life.
Brutal initiation into naked existence.
That's his phrase. All they had left, literally, was their bare bodies, their raw humanity. And yet, even then,
something else emerges.
yeah, this bizarre, grim humor. And a kind of cold curiosity. Initial coping mechanisms almost involuntary.
He mentions being surprised they didn't catch cold, right? After being stripped naked in the chill.
Exactly. He says, textbooks tell lies about what humans can endure. People could sleep next to snores despite hunger. Gums were healthier without brushing. Dirty hands didn't always get infected.
It proves Dostoevsky's point, doesn't it? A man can get used to anything.
Starkly. And Frankl resolved right away, that first night, not to run into the wire. Not suicide.
Not because he thought his chances were good, but something deeper.
A deeper conviction. We'll get into that. And he mentions that chilling advice from another prisoner. Shave daily. look fit for work.
To avoid being labeled a Muslim, the ones marked for death.
Right. It's that insight. Abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior. The whole reality was just inverted. Basic survival instincts twisted.
And this adaptation leads into that second phase he describes, apathy.
Yes, a profound apathy, not just sadness. He called it a relative apathy, a necessary protective shell, an emotional death almost.
The longing for home, for family, it just fades.
It gets replaced by disgust. Disgust for the filth, the ugliness. He talks about prisoners being punished just for showing disgust while cleaning latrines. A deliberate grinding down of human sensibility.
And this desensitization, it spreads to everything.
Pervasive. Chilling. He describes going from looking away during punishments to watching unmoved as a boy's frostbitten toes were picked off.
God.
Death just became commonplace. Gruesome death. He recounts watching prisoners take clothes and food from a still warm corpse while he just sat sipping his soup, the dead man's eyes staring blankly. No emotional reaction.
He said the real pain of the beatings wasn't physical, though.
No, it was the mental agony caused by the injustice, the unreasonableness of it all. Being treated like an animal. A guard throwing a stone at him playfully. A capo hitting him for helping someone after just complaining about lack of comradeship. These were profound insults to dignity.
Existential wounds.
Exactly. He had this one moment, though, a flash of indignation. A foreman was judging his life having no idea who Frankl was.
And Frankl spoke up, despite the risk.
He asserted himself. I was a doctor, a specialist. It was this reclaiming of self, a defiant assertion of identity against that tide of dehumanization.
And paradoxically, even in that hell, small connections mattered, like with his capo.
Vital lifelines. That capo, apparently influenced by Frankl's advice, gave him small favors. First row in marches, extra Ps, literally saved his life multiple times. Those tiny acts of humanity shone so brightly.
But the overall strain, it led to this regression, primitive mental state.
Yes, most obvious in dreams. They didn't dream of freedom, but of bread, cigarettes, warm baths, basic needs.
And waking up was torture.
A daily torment, a fresh wound. The obsession with food was all-consuming. Detailed talks about recipes, trading tips, just tenderly touching a piece of bread.
And he noted, as a psychologist, the absence of the sexual urge.
Striking, wasn't it? Due to the sheer undernourishment, a profound physical sign of their broken state, and the apathy just bled into everything, that lack of sentiment.
Like when he passed his childhood home on the train.
Yeah, begged to see it, refused with total cynicism. You lived here all those years. Well, then you have seen quite enough already. It just shows the depth of that emotional blunting, the erasure of connection.
Amidst all that, something else was happening, the preservation of the spirit.
A profound counterforce. Frankl observed that despite everything, it was possible for spiritual life to deepen.
Paradoxically, the sensitive people suffered more physically, but less internally.
Often, yes. They could retreat into these inner riches and spiritual freedom, a sanctuary no one could touch. He shares that incredible experience on a forced march. The image of his wife.
Even though he didn't know she was alive?
Didn't matter. Her image became more luminous than the sun, a beacon.
And that was his aha moment about love.
For the first time in my life, I saw the truth. That love is the ultimate and the highest goal to which man can aspire. He realized the salvation of man is through love and in love.
And it transcended physical presence, even death.
His mental conversation with her felt just as real, just as satisfying. He quoted the Song of Songs, "Love is as strong as death." It was an inner reality, unbreakable.
He also talks about beauty, doesn't he? Finding beauty even there.
Astonishing, yes. Experiencing the beauty of art and nature as never before, momentarily forgetting the horror.
Awe at the mountains, a sunset.
Yeah, prisoners gazing at the Salzburg Mountains from the train, or a sunset over the woods like a painting, leading one to cry out, how beautiful the world could be.
That potential still visible.
And Frankl's own moment. Sensing his spirit rise above it all, hearing this victorious yes to ultimate purpose, seeing a light in a distant farmhouse.
It looks in tenebris lucet.
And the light shineth in the darkness, a glimpse of irreducible meaning.
Humor was also key, wasn't it? A soul's weapon.
Absolutely. For self-preservation, it offered an aloofness, an ability to rise above. He actually trained a friend to invent funny stories about their future life after liberation.
Like the surgeon carrying on camp habits.
Exactly. And curiosity, too, that cold curiosity, observing horrors almost objectively, asking what would happen next. Detachment as protection.
Remarkable resilience, but the core, the absolute cornerstone of his philosophy, It was the choice of attitude.
And the most powerful realization. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. To choose one's own way.
And he lived it, staying with his patients instead of escaping.
Knowing it was likely death. But it brought him this inward peace. He linked it to Dostoevsky again. There is only one thing that I dread, not to be worthy of my sufferings.
Seeing the martyrs in the camp, bearing it with dignity, transforming suffering into achievement.
A genuine inner achievement. It showed that suffering itself isn't the point, but our response, our attitude towards it, that's where meaning is forged.
So suffering is an ineradicable part of life.
Even as fate and death. Without suffering and death, human life cannot be complete. He points out the relativity of all suffering, too.
Like being overjoyed to arrive at Dachau because it didn't have a crematorium.
Exactly, or envying convicts.
Yeah.
Or factory workers. It puts things in perspective. His choice to volunteer for typhus duty, knowing the risks.
He saw it as simple mathematics, not sacrifice.
Yeah. If death was likely anyway, better to make it meaningful by helping others as a doctor. Pragmatic, yet deeply spiritual. A choice rooted in meaning.
And this leads him to that chilling idea about the two races of men.
The camp, as a living laboratory, tearing open the human soul. He saw how some prisoners, the prominent ones like capos, could become worse than the guards, developing miniature delusions of grandeur.
Power corrupts, even there.
Viciously. And his dark conclusion. The best of us did not return. The conditions devoured the most compassionate.
That's heavy, the weight of that.
It is. But even then, he saw kindness. Paradoxical moments. A commander paying for medicine. A foreman giving him bread secretly.
It wasn't just the bread, though.
No. It was the human something, the word and look that came with it. This led to that profound insight. There are two races of men. The race of the decent man and the race of the indecent man. Both are found everywhere.
Transcending all groups, all labels.
Moral choice is individual, always. People unmask themselves, both the swine and the saints.
And then liberation, the aftermath, the road back to being human.
Not the explosion of joy you might expect. Initial total relaxation, yes, but no madness with joy.
Instead, this depersonalization, feeling unreal.
Like living in a dream. The word freedom itself had lost its meaning, been longed for too intensely.
Relearning pleasure was slow.
Painstakingly slow for the mind. A spark of joy from a rooster crowing. But the body reacted faster. Eating constantly, this irresistible desire to speak. Years of silence pouring out.
That recalibration sounds immense. His own moment of rebirth, kneeling in the meadow.
A simple act of freedom. Repeating that line, I called to the Lord from my narrow prison, and he answered me in the freedom of space. That was the true start of his new life.
But he also saw dangers in liberation. The bends.
Yeah, the sudden release of pressure leading to moral deformity. Some prisoners became oppressors themselves, using freedom ruthlessly, justifying it by their past suffering.
Trampling crops, seeking revenge.
And the challenge was guiding them back to truth. No one has the right to do wrong, not even if wrong has been done to them.
Returning to society was also disillusioning.
Profoundly. Met with indifference we didn't know, or even we suffered too. Incredibly painful.
But the worst disillusion.
Finding that the person whose memory kept you alive, didn't exist anymore. Frankl lost his wife, parents, brother. Unimaginable loss.
Yet he chose to stay in Vienna, chose reconciliation over revenge, lived his principles.
He did. And he said the crowning experience for the survivor was realizing there was nothing he need fear anymore except his God. A kind of ultimate spiritual freedom born from facing the abyss. So moving from that intense personal journey, let's really focus on logotherapy itself, the philosophy forged in that fire.
Hey, logos means meaning, right?
Exactly. So logotherapy focuses on the meaning of human existence as well as on man's search for such a meaning. And Frankl is emphatic. The will to meaning is the primary motivational force.
Not Freud's pleasure principle or Adler's will to power.
Fundamentally different. For Frankl, our deepest impulse isn't just gratification or influence, it's significance.
It's not just a side effect of other drives, but a core human need.
Yes. He argued passionately that people can and do live and die for the sake of his ideals and values. These aren't just convenient fictions or defense mechanisms.
Those stats back it up too. People needing something to live for, prioritizing meaning over money.
They really do. It shows this search for meaning isn't some luxury. It's woven into us. It's imperative.
But this search, this will to meaning, it can be frustrated.
Profoundly.
Yeah.
And that leads to what Frankl called existential frustration. and sometimes neurogenic neuroses.
Neuroses that come not from psychology, but from the spirit or mind, the neurological dimension.
Precisely. So traditional therapy might look for, say, a chemical issue or a past trauma. Frankl asks, what if the root problem isn't your brain chemistry or your childhood, but your lack of purpose right now?
Like that example of the American diplomat.
Exactly. Misdiagnosed as hating his father, when really he just found no meaning in his job. Frankl didn't treat him as ill, he helped him find meaningful work. Problem solved, by addressing the meaning deficit.
That's such a liberating insight. Not all conflict is neurotic. Some struggle is healthy. Suffering isn't always pathology.
It can be a human achievement, an opportunity for growth. This really pushes back against pathologizing normal life struggles. Frankl saw this widespread modern issue, the existential vacuum.
That feeling of inner emptiness, a void.
Yes. He argued it comes from a twofold loss.
Right.
We lost the animal instincts that used to just guide us, so now we have to choose, which is overwhelming.
And traditions are fading, so they don't tell us what we ought to do anymore.
Right. This vacuum often leads to either conformism, just doing what everyone else does, or totalitarianism, doing what others tell you to do, seeking external authority.
You see it everywhere, right? That Sunday neurosis.
That classic feeling of emptiness when the weekly rush stops. But also in deeper issues. Depression, aggression, addiction. So many studies link addiction to a feeling of meaninglessness.
His earlier work on unemployment neurosis showed that too. Feeling useless without a job.
Exactly. But people recovered when they found unpaid but meaningful activity. It wasn't about the paycheck, it was about the purpose.
So the logotherapist isn't giving you meaning.
No, not prescribing it, more like being an eye specialist, helping you widen your visual field to see the potential meanings already around you, waiting for you to discover them. Empowering you to find your own answers, your own responsibilities.
And here's that really counterintuitive idea. Mental health needs tension, no adynamics.
Yeah, radical, isn't it? It's not about achieving a tensionless, comfy state. Mental health comes from the striving and struggling for a worthwhile goal, a freely chosen task.
Back to Nietzsche. He who has a why can bear almost anyhow.
Frankl saw it proven in the camps. Those with a task, a meaning, survived. He uses that analogy of architects strengthening an arch by increasing the load.
So therapy shouldn't just reduce stress, but create purposeful tension. Orient you towards meaning.
Create a sound amount of tension, yes. It's about purposeful friction, not just seeking ease.
That completely reframes the goal, doesn't it? Comfort isn't the point, meaningful engagement is. Frankl said meaning always changes, but it never ceases to be.
It's dynamic, not static.
Yeah.
Ever-present call. And he laid out 3 main ways we can find it.
Okay, what are they? The first is pretty obvious, right? Creating or doing something.
Yes, by creating a work or doing a deed. Art, innovation, simple, productive work. Frankl's own drive to rewrite his lost manuscript is a perfect example.
What's the second way?
By experiencing something or encountering someone. This is about receptivity, opening yourself up.
Experiencing goodness, truth, beauty, nature, art.
All that. And crucially, loving another human being. He saw love as the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core, helping them actualize their potential just by being seen, by being loved.
Love as primary, not just a side effect of sex.
Exactly. Sex is just a vehicle of love, in his view. Love itself is fundamental.
And the third way. This feels like the toughest one. Finding meaning through our attitude towards unavoidable suffering.
The most challenging, perhaps, but also transformative. When fate is unchangeable disease, loss our potential lies in transforming a personal tragedy into a triumph.
Like that story of the grieving doctor.
The general practitioner mourning his wife. Frankl reframed it. What if you died first? The Dutch realized he'd spared her that pain. His suffering suddenly had meaning, the meaning of sacrifice.
And the suffering itself ceased to be just suffering.
Suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. But again, it's crucial.
He's not saying we need suffering for meaning.
Absolutely not. Only if it's unavoidable. If you can remove the cause, that's the meaningful thing to do. To suffer unnecessarily is masochistic rather than heroic.
That psychologist, Weiskopf Jolson, she criticized modern culture for not letting people be proud of unavoidable suffering.
Yeah, this unhappiness about being unhappy. Logotherapy offers a counter-narrative, validating dignity, even pride, in facing unavoidable hardship bravely.
Frankl's own struggle with his camp experience has all this suffering a meaning.
That gnawing question. For him, finding that prayer book page, the Shema Yisrael, in the inherited rags, that was his answer. It challenged to live my thoughts, not just write them. It gave his suffering profound meaning.
And he noticed patients asking these deeper, metaclinical questions more often.
Yes, what is the meaning of my life? Not just about symptoms, but about existence itself.
That logodrama example, the mother with a crippled son.
Viewing her life from her deathbed, she saw her suffering transformed. By caring for him, she made a fuller life possible for him. Her existence validated.
And that ape analogy, suggesting a super meaning beyond our grasp.
Right. Could there be another dimension where suffering finds its ultimate answer? It hints at an unconditional meaningfulness, even if we can't fully comprehend it?
He even used religious belief therapeutically, like with the rabbi who lost his family.
Offering that new point of view, maybe his suffering purified him to join his children in heaven, negating the need for Kaddish. A reframe that brought immense relief by tapping into deep spiritual resources.
So the ultimate insight, the big shift, it's not asking what life's meaning is.
No, it's recognizing that it is he who is asked. Life constantly questions us.
And our answer isn't talk, but action. Right action and right conduct.
Which makes responsibleness the very essence of human existence. It's fundamental, not optional.
Which leads to that categorical imperative of logotherapy.
Live as if you were living already for the second time, and as if you had acted the first time as wrongly as you were about to act now.
Wow. That really forces awareness of the present moment, doesn't it? The chance to choose differently right now.
Acute awareness of finality and opportunity. It all points towards self-transcendence.
The idea that being human means being directed outwards, towards something or someone else.
Always. We're fundamentally oriented beyond ourselves, which is why he argued self-actualization is not an attainable aim at all.
It's only possible as a side effect of self-transcendence.
Exactly, like chasing happiness futile. But give yourself to a cause, to another person, focus outward, and fulfillment often shows up unexpectedly. It comes from looking beyond the ego.
And logotherapy isn't just theory, it has practical tools like paradoxical intention.
A key technique, it tackles anticipatory anxiety, how fearing something makes it happen.
Fear of blushing makes you blush.
Right, or hyperintention, trying too hard, making things impossible, like performance anxiety. Pleasure dies when it becomes the goal.
So paradoxical intention invites you to intend the feared thing.
Courageously, yes.
Yeah.
Like the doctor afraid of sweating being told to try to sweat profusely, and the fear vanished.
It uses our capacity for self-detachment. Humor.
Exactly. Like Allport said, the neurotic who learns to laugh at himself may be on the way to self-management. Your works for writer's cramp, stuttering, even severe compulsions.
And sleep problems. Try to stay awake.
Yes. Overcomes the anxiety about not sleeping. Frankl stressed it was a short-term technique with permanent results, challenging the idea that therapy has to be long to be effective.
And related to that is dereflection, for hyper-reflection.
Overcoming excessive self-focus. Like the woman whose frigidity stemmed from overthinking her past and trying too hard. Dereflection shifted her focus to her partner, allowing natural response.
The cure is self-transcendence again.
Always. For obsessions too, fighting them gives them power. Ridiculing them, seeing the absurdity, cuts the vicious circle.
Okay, this brings us to a critical battleground for Frankl, reclaiming human dignity against determinism and nihilism.
Absolutely. He saw the existential vacuum as a kind of collective neurosis, a form of nihilism, the belief that life has no meaning.
And he warned against reducing humans to nothing butness, just biology, psychology, sociology.
Yes, that view fosters neurotic fatalism, the idea that we're just puppets of our conditions. Frankl's counter-argument is incredibly powerful because it's rooted in his own experience.
As a survivor of 4 camps.
I also bear witness to the unexpected extent to which man is capable of defying and braving even the worst conditions conceivable. His conviction is unshakable. Man is not fully determined.
He determines himself whether he gives in or stands up, ultimately self-determining.
Exactly. You can predict groups, maybe, but the individual, they can always rise above conditions, grow beyond them.
That story of Dr. J, the mass murderer of Steinhoff.
Chilling, isn't it? A truly depraved man who, after prison, transformed completely, became the best comrade, lived up to the highest moral standard.
It proves the point. Man has both potentialities within himself. Which one is actualized depends on decisions, but not on conditions.
Stark reminder. Choice remains, always. Which leads to that crucial point about freedom.
Freedom is not the last word.
Only part of the story and half of the truth. Freedom's positive aspect is responsibleness.
Freedom without responsibility is just chaos. arbitrariness.
Degenerates into it.
Yeah.
That's why he called for a statue of responsibility on the West Coast to balance the Statue of Liberty. We need both, liberty and responsible choice.
And this learned meaninglessness that's so pervasive today. The world is a joke, no justice, no purpose.
It's insidious, it breeds cynicism, paralysis. Frankl said the therapist's job isn't to indulge it, but to immunize the trainee against nihilism.
A defense of the human spirit itself, against the idea that nothing matters.
Precisely. And he argued that life, tragic triad, pain, guilt, death doesn't negate meaning either.
Transitoriness, the fact that life ends, is actually a challenge.
A challenge to make the best possible use of each moment. Which brings back that categorical imperative. Live as if you were living for the second time.
And had acted wrongly the first time. Acute awareness of the now. Because once potentials are actualized,
they become realities,
Yeah.
saved and delivered into the past, rescued from transitoriness. His profound insight, having been is the surest kind of being.
I love that metaphor. The pessimist sees the thinning calendar, but the activist sees the full granaries of the past.
Deeds done, loves loved, sufferings endured with courage. That's why the old should be envied, he argued. They have these realities in their past that can never be taken away.
Suffering bravely endured becomes a source of pride.
Which means life's meaning, human dignity, is unconditional, not based on current usefulness or productivity. A powerful counter to arguments for euthanasia based on perceived social uselessness.
And finally, his psychiatric credo, it's so humanistic.
His unwavering belief. A residue of freedom remains even in psychosis. The innermost core is not even touched.
This validates the work of helping people, seeing the person beyond the illness.
Affirming that a patient is definitely more than a damaged brain machine. A call for humanized psychiatry. Seeing the human being behind the disease. Always.
Reiterating that core Auschwitz observation, decisions, not conditions, determine who we become.
Yes, and leading to that incredibly potent conclusion.
Our generation is realistic, for we have come to know man as he really is.
After all, man is that being who invented the gas chambers of Auschwitz. However, he is also that being who entered those gas chambers upright, with the Lord's Prayer or the Shema Yisrael on his lips.
That duality, terrifying, inspiring, the sheer freedom of human nature.
And the final call to action, the challenge to us right now. Since Auschwitz, we know what man is capable of, and since Hiroshima, we know what is at stake.
The challenge is to choose. Choose decency, join that minority, and do our best, moment by moment. Wow, we've covered so much ground, journeyed through the real depths of Viktor Frankl's man's search for meaning. And what we find again and again is this irreducible human freedom.
The freedom to choose our attitude, to find meaning in love, in work, even perhaps especially in suffering, and crucially, to respond responsibly to life's constant questions.
This isn't just history or psychology, is it? It feels like an urgent, timeless challenge, right here, right now.
It compels every one of us, especially those listening, the seekers, the warriors of the mind, to really confront our own lives, to ask with total honesty.
What is life asking of you, right now, in this moment? What meaning is waiting for you to actualize it, to give it life through your choices?
Yes. What is your courageous response going to be?
So, here's the final thought to leave you with. In a world absolutely saturated with noise, with distractions, with the constant pull of the external, and maybe that quiet hum of the existential vacuum, what hidden meanings are waiting to be unveiled in your own life's challenges, your own unique crucible?
If only you dare to look.
If only you dare to look with the clarity Frankl offers, the clarity of someone who has truly faced the abyss and chosen, profoundly defiantly, to transcend it.